Hello, my name is Rich Kohler, and I am your child's 10th grade communication arts teacher for the spring 2021 semester. Um, I'd like to start off with a brief introduction of myself. This is my 18th year teaching at Cocalico. This semester I will teach World Lit course and also 10th grade communication arts. My wife, Wendy, is a learning support teacher over at the middle school, and we have two children, Austin, who is a freshman, and Dana, who is a third grader in the Wilson School District. My philosophy of teaching is based on respect, responsibility, and hard work. I want the kids to respect themselves, me, their classmates, and pretty much everything that goes on in our classroom. I want them to be respectful and understand that we have to be nice and accepting to everyone. Also, I want them to be responsible. I want them to take responsibility for their actions, for the things that they turn in. I'm a big believer that it's time to stop relying on other people and put things on to other people, and that we need to take responsibility for the things that we say and do. And lastly, I want the kids to work hard. I want them to give me their best effort on everything. One of the questions that bothers me the most when I am in the classroom is when a student will say to me, "How much is this assignment worth?" In my mind, that translates to, well, if it's worth 10 points, I'm not going to really work hard. I'm not going to really try. But if it's worth 100, I'm really going to give it my best effort. I want the kids to always give me their best effort. So I often tell them that it doesn't matter how much something is worth. In my classroom, you give your best effort on every single thing. And if the kids follow those three expectations of respect, responsibility, and hard work, they're going to be successful in my class, this course. So, unfortunately, this 10th grade year is Keystone exam year. At the end of the semester, the kids will take the state test, the Keystone exam. So this course is intended for a good portion of it to get them prepared to pass that exam. So the key materials we'll use in order to do that is Study Island. Study Island has a specific Keystone exam prep that is very similar to the Keystone exam itself. And I actually believe, and I tell the kids this, that the Study Island material is probably a little bit more difficult than the actual Keystone exam. So as they're doing the practice in Study Island, if they're successful, they should see that the Keystone exam is much easier than what Study Island is. If they struggle a little bit with Study Island, not a big deal, because, as I said, it's a little bit more difficult than the actual Keystone exam. We will also use No Red Ink, which is grammar, spelling, and punctuation. I use No Red Ink to do some creative writing, but also to just polish up the kids' skills when it comes to grammar, punctuation, and spelling. Common Lit is a site that we'll use that has everything from nonfiction to fiction, poems, interviews, all kinds of good stuff that I like to connect with the major texts that we read in the course. Sometimes with the texts, the larger texts that we read, the kids kind of get bogged down on the amount of reading they have to do and the amount of pages in the text, whereas Common Lit is kind of short, sweet, more accessible for them, more easy for them to understand, and then we can then pair that with the larger texts and hopefully make the larger texts more understandable and easier to deal with. And lastly, I use Newsela. We will use Newsela. Newsela is nonfiction, current events, and very similar to Study Island. Newsela articles always have 4-question quizzes at the end, and those questions are very similar to the type of questions that the kids will see on the Keystone exam. So between Study Island, Common Lit, and Newsela, the kids are getting weekly practice on the Keystone exam without actually taking the Keystone exam, which I think is half the battle, because when they hear Keystone exam, sometimes they get a little nervous and think it's this big test. And I try to point out to them that, listen, you've been answering these kind of questions throughout the entire semester and been successful, so there's no reason to think you won't be successful on the Keystone exam. The three major texts that we'll read throughout the semester, we will actually start Tuesdays with Maury at the end of this week or beginning of next week. We will also read Of Mice and Men. And lastly, we'll end the semester with The Outsiders. All very good books, all very deep in character analysis, character study, so that one of the things that I always tell the kids is, you may not love what it is that you're reading, but there's always something you can learn. And specifically with these texts, these three texts, they can learn something from each one of the characters that they can then apply to their own lives. Whether it's, as simple as just how to be a good friend, to handling issues that come up in your life that are unexpected. So as we're reading these texts, we will do lit analysis. We will work with Common Lit and Newsela to make some pairings, but ultimately we're going to look at the literature and figure out what is it that we can apply to our own lives. What can we figure out that could work for us? Throughout the semester, I will also do various creative and formal writing. Unfortunately, kids kind of hate to hear that, I should say. But I do think it's important, despite having to do the Keystone and prep for the Keystone, I do think it's important that they continue to develop their writing. And we'll do that in various ways, whether it's creative writing or formal essays. We'll continue to write through the entire semester. And one of the last big things that we'll do in the course is I will have the kids get up and present as much as possible. I think it takes a ton of courage, and it's a great skill to be able to get up in front of a group of people and speak confidently and clearly. So as much as I can, I will get the kids up in front of the class, speaking, sharing, and at the beginning of the semester, it's usually kind of it's a challenge. Most kids don't feel totally comfortable getting up in front of a group of people and talking, but I create an environment that by the end of the semester, there's no problem. They're willing to get up in front of a group and speak and share, and it's not really a big issue. So we'll work on that throughout the semester. Lastly, we'll do some vocab. I think it's important for the kids to have a good vocabulary. It's a proven fact that the more words you know, the more intelligent you are. And I think all of your kids are intelligent, and I want to try to make them more intelligent. So we'll do a lot with vocab as well. If you have any questions or concerns, you can reach me at rkohler, Kohler, at cocalico.org. That is my email. It's probably the quickest way to get in touch with me. You can always call the school and leave a message, but sometimes that doesn't always work well or efficiently. But if you email me, I can get right back to you immediately. I look forward to working with your child this semester. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me and let me know.